All right, excited for a new week. Grateful for another opportunity to go compete that we get to Saturday in Williams-Brice. Big challenge. Alabama's got a fantastic team. Coach DeBoer has done an amazing job with them. Great athletes on defense, really good players and dynamic on special teams, and then a quarterback that is playing better than any quarterback in the nation right now. I mean, this guy is on fire. He's a great young man. We tried to recruit him here. Great young man, great player, great family, and really happy for his success. Some of the throws he's made this season, I mean, just are mind-boggling. He's playing at a high level. Their offense is operating at a high level. Got a big challenge in front of us, but I know our guys are really looking forward to the opportunity to go compete Saturday afternoon in Williams-Brice Stadium again. And certainly disappointed with last Saturday, but new week, and this is another opportunity for our guys to get better this week and go compete and hard at it. Questions? David, how you doing? Great.
Shane, first, any update on Dylan, the other injured guys?
Should all be good. I think everybody will be back and healthy this week except Case and Henry. He'll be out. Don't think he'll return this season, so certainly not playing this Saturday. But everybody else was back out there and practicing today.
And 2 years ago, you guys had a lot of injuries along the offensive line. I'm assuming you probably tweaked something at the year. Do you see some of the same stuff happening as then, or is this just different?
I think it's different. I mean, certainly you do an analysis of it during the season, and something that we'll look at after the season in regards to, the why of some of these things and how they occurred. But I think a lot of them are just kind of, freak things and look at it, whether it be, stuff in practice, stuff in games, how we're training. But we did a lot, like you said, a deep dive a couple years ago because we had such a rash of them 2 seasons ago. I don't think this is that, but still to have as many at one position. Pause.
All right, let's go to Jackson.
What happened?
Go ahead, Jackson.
Shane, when the team isn't playing up to expectations, there does seem to be a lot of noise on the outside. How is that handled internally, either in terms of using it as motivation or blocking it out?
Block it out. If you're spending time listening to that noise, then you're not doing the things that you need to be doing to get better. You're not doing the things that you need to be doing to win. When our players walk out of the locker room each and every day, they see a sign on the door of the locker room that's there permanently that says, starve your distractions, feed your focus. And I love that. I mean, starve your distractions, all the things that are cluttering your mind. Starve it as much as you can and feed your focus. And again, I understand there's noise out there, and there should be. I'm not happy with where we are right now, and I'm going to get it fixed because we got great young men in this program, and as the leader and as the head coach of this program, I realize that I'm letting a lot of people down right now with the way that we're playing. Our players that I feel like I'm letting down, our coaches, our players' families, our coaches' families, the student body, the 80,000 people that pack Williams-Brice Stadium every Saturday, the state of South Carolina, from Charleston to Myrtle Beach to the upstate to the Midlands. There's a lot of people that live and die with Gamecock football on Saturdays, and I get it. They're not happy, and neither am I. And I take that personally because I truly feel like I'm letting a lot of people down right now. And I'm working hard each and every week to try and to get it fixed, making the decisions schematically, personnel-wise, staff-wise, each and every week to get it fixed. And it's a process, but we're going to get it fixed. We're not far off from where we want to be.
Rick? There's no microphone, Rick.
Oh, okay. Shane, Boaz was in here, and he said that one thing the offensive line needed to do is play meaner. How does Coach Elliott help in that regard?
Yeah, I think, there's plenty of instances before Coach Elliott got here as the offensive line coach where we were playing mean up front, and I can show you examples on tape of where we, did that. There's a play that we there's multiple plays of that, but that's a mindset. I think that comes from, just eliminating clutter in their heads. Not saying that there was, but the more we can do just eliminate clutter in their heads and make it simple for guys to just go play and come off the ball and not have to think so much. and we've got tough guys in that offensive line room, and they want to play that way, and we just need to continue to help them. And certainly Sean's personality allows that to come out in them, to say the least.
Okay.
Shane, in the middle, you talked about.
Hi, Jack.
Hey, Shane. Hope you're doing well. You talked about fixing it, but where in your mind does that process start? And what are the steps you feel like you, in your mind, with the team need to take to get to where you eventually want to be and get back with the wins and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's it's week to week, it's day to day, it's season to season, whatever. I mean, it's things that I'm looking at each and every day. In the short term, it's the decision I made from a staffing standpoint last week or 2 weeks ago to follow up on your question from Saturday. If I felt like more changes on offense were warranted right now and that was best for us, I would certainly do it. I don't right now. I see what we're trying to do. I see how it's being coached, and I see the people and how they're working, and it's not good enough. But I look at it as, okay, how can I, as the head coach, continue to do the things right now in the short term, meaning in the middle of the season, to fix it. And it might be something from a personnel standpoint, who we're playing with on offense and defense and special teams. It may be something that, as the head coach, I step in and say, from a schematic standpoint, we don't need to be doing this anymore, or we need to be doing this more, or less or more, which I have. We don't need to be doing this as much, or we need to be doing this more. I've done that. And then you're always evaluating, and that's each day, that's throughout the season, and then that's after the season also. And it's like I told our team this morning, Jack, we're 3-4 right now. Nobody's happy, but nobody's coming to save us. What we have on this team is what we are right now, and it's not good enough, but we've got the people, the players, and the coaches to get it right this season. And it's cliche, but it's true. You just go right back to work and just keep trying to get better each and every day.
Let's go to the young man. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Osley Lewis with Carolina News. Hope you're doing okay. After the game on Saturday, you said that you still had high expectations for this team. In your mind, what is the goal, your goal for this team now?
Like I said on Saturday, I mean, it's going 1-0 each week, starting this week, which will be a big challenge, but it's maximizing the potential of this year's team. And we haven't reached that potential. I, as the head coach, have not gotten the most out of these players and coaches, and that's what we're working hard on to do. And that, to me, is still the high hopes and the high expectations that we have to be able to get the most out of this team, whatever that is record-wise. Let's do it, and maximize this team.
Matt.
When you look at Alabama, they started off their season with that loss to Florida State, but now they've reeled off 4 ranked wins in a row. When you look at what they're doing, what are they doing so well that's allowing them to be on this streak of really good wins at the moment?
I think it starts with hey, we're back. Did you get all the audio from that, or do I need to go back and say everything that I've said for the last 10 minutes? Huh? Oh, all right, yeah, well, hopefully we got it. Just like that, we're back in business, man, just like the team, hopefully. What do I see? I see, one, going back to the Florida State game, I didn't really watch that game because that was the day before we played Virginia Tech, and we were traveling, and all I saw was the score. And you turn on that, you think, man, you hear all this narrative about Alabama and the Florida State game. You turn on the tape, and it wasn't quite the beating that perception-wise everybody across the country made it out to be. And I know Alabama expected to win that game, and we're disappointed that they didn't. But that thing was very close and could have gone either way. And then what I've seen since then, defense has had some injuries but are affecting the quarterback, their opportunistic ability to pressure the quarterback. They got some real dudes on the edge that can rush the passer, being able to just get stops like they had against Tennessee the other night where they had the 100-yard interception return for a touchdown before the half. But then I think just the offense and the way they're operating. I mean, Ty, the quarterback, I think he's 18-1 touchdown to interception ratio. That's crazy. So he's throwing touchdowns. He's not turning the ball over. And then they're holding on to the ball. If you look at their time of possession in their last 4 games, it's like I think it's like 38 minutes, 36 minutes, 35 and 32 maybe. So they're controlling the ball, not meaning they're like ground and pound. They're just staying on the field and they're operating at a high level, and their defense isn't having to be out there long because the offense is is moving the ball efficiently and protecting it. They're not turning it over, and they're moving the ball, which is a pretty good combination to have as an offense.
First thing, I know you mentioned it on Saturday, but just wanted to confirm, are the 3 guys who were suspended last week, are they back at practice and
Yes.
expected to play? Got it. And then you mentioned kind of with the offense that you have to look at it, evaluate it, and say, hey, do we need less or do we need more? As you've looked through it this week with you and Mike and the rest of the offensive staff, do you think you need less or do you think you need more?
Yes.
Shane, kind of off topic here. When you were growing up playing ball, before high school, whatever, how important was it for you, for your parents, to be there at the games? And especially when you got into high school ball, how difficult was it knowing your dad probably couldn't be at some of your games?
Yeah, it was very, very important. Loved having them there, certainly. You want, to see your family after the game and everything. So growing up, playing whatever it was, football, basketball, baseball, growing up, you always wanted your parents there. My mom, I don't think she ever missed anything. She was always at stuff. It was tough for my dad once I got to high school because he was traveling on Friday nights and wasn't able to get to the games. But fortunately, my senior year in high school, we made it to the state semifinals my junior year and senior year of high school after his season, so he was able to see some playoff games. And then my senior year, he was able to get to a lot of the home games before he got with the team on Friday night. So that was very important. My mom was always there for sure. Then I played baseball my senior year in high school. My dad used to always take a golf trip with some buddies to Myrtle Beach every spring, and he scheduled the golf trip for when the playoffs started in baseball, and we upset Carroll County High School in 1995 in the playoffs, and I don't think he thought we were going to win the game, and he had to leave his golf trip in Myrtle Beach to come back to see us play Christiansburg for the district championship, I believe, which he did, and I still remember that, so that made an impact on me, whatever that is, 30 years later, can't do math, but that was 1995, so yeah, just having that presence and making an impact, and then something that I try and do now with, my kids, and we've got other coaches on this staff who have kids, and I want them to be able to, see their sons or daughters play. And it's a challenge during the season, but, if we have to leave somebody's got to leave the office for an hour on a Tuesday afternoon to go watch somebody play, I want them to be able to do it and then get back and get your work done.
Shane, you mentioned how when there's a lot of noise, the players in the locker room don't listen to it, but when there is noise maybe surrounding the coaching staff, the job of the team, is there conversations with your coordinators, the rest of the people on your staff, about assurances given, not even talking about it? How does that work when talking with your staff about the noise?
Same. I mean, I'd love to say they're, grown men and don't look on social media, and hopefully they don't. I mean, I picked up my phone a couple times this week. Gotta have it. I'm like, nope, I'm not even gonna try. And I don't know. These guys are pros. This isn't their first rodeo. There's gonna be criticism. I saw a great article, a great quote from Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Eagles, that he told a reporter the other day after they started out the season and then they lost a couple of games, and the masses were not happy in Philadelphia, and it was kind of along those lines. If you're listening to that or you're allowing it to clutter your mind, you're not doing the things you need to do to get it right. And if any of our coaches are worried about the outside noise, they're not doing everything in their power to fix it. Because scrolling on social media to see what people are saying about me is not helping me get it right for our players. And why poison my brain or thoughts with that? And that's what I would encourage to the coaches. But it's a great thing too, in the sense that you want to be somewhere where people are passionate, and you want to be somewhere where people have high expectations. There were high expectations for us last year because of what we did. There were high expectations for us because we were 2 points away from being in the college football playoff, and we haven't met those expectations. And the fans should be unhappy about that, and I don't blame them. And you want to be somewhere where people are passionate and do have those expectations, and that's what we have here at Carolina. And I'm, grateful for that, and I wish those people could see our players and the way and coaches and the way they hurt and how they're working, and ultimately as a leader, it's my job to do the things we need to do to get it right, and that's what we're trying to do.
A few of the offensive linemen are in here talking about how they're working to build their identity and kind of find it. How through a coaching change and even with the injuries up front, how difficult can that be, and how can you and Coach Elliott kind of help to build that through this back half of the season?
Yeah, it's a challenge. And before Coach Elliott took over, again, there had been some really positive signs of the offensive line playing better. The fourth quarter of the Kentucky game and the way we ran the ball, bless you, and the way we ran the ball against them. The LSU game where it wasn't good enough, but from a run game standpoint, we ran the ball against LSU. Now, we had too many sacks and too many penalties, but we ran the ball. So there's signs of that identity that we saw before Coach Elliott took over. Last week wasn't the ideal situation when Coach Elliott takes over. He's got 3 starters out, 3 guys, that have started games. And then during the game, we have 3 other guys that had started the game that have to leave because of injuries. And we're out there with a true freshman left tackle and some other guys that were beat up by the end, going up against the number 1 defense, I think, in the nation, and just really, really, really good with really good players. It's going to be hard to just say, okay, coaching change, flip the identity. So what I saw was just small steps at a time. Y'all don't want to talk about we didn't have any penalties on offense last week. None that I'm aware of. So knock on wood, that's a start, because don't think that team we just played wasn't making move calls and being disruptive. They were. And heck of a job by our guys just being disciplined. And again, doesn't mean we're never going to have a pre-snap penalty again, but because we will. But those guys did a great job up front of taking a step and showing their identity that way. And that's a prideful group in there. And we got good players on the offensive line. And I told our team that this morning. I mean, we got offensive linemen in that room that were recruited by everybody in the country and are big-time players. And we need to continue to help them. But that starts with getting healthy, which we're healthier now than we've been, I guess, probably since the Missouri game. And it's week 2 now with Sean, where they have a better understanding of what Sean's going to be like during the week, what he's going to be like in practice, what he's going to be like on game day. They know all that now. So I would hope that they would take another step this week in regards to what they want to be about, because there were a lot of positive signs trending in that direction before I made the change. And there were positive signs that I saw last week during the game. Phil's back. You've been in the upstate for like every Tuesday.
What can I tell you?
They're off this week. So are you going to be back here with us, or are you back up there next week?
I'll have to check my schedule.
All right, buddy.
I'll get back to you on that. I got 2 for you, though. The other 5, just to be clear, the other 5 offensive linemen who've been injured, they're all good to go?
The other 5.
Besides Case, and you said it's going to be
the other 5. Tro was at practice today. Nick Sharp was practice today. Tree practiced today. Nolan Hay practiced today. Yes, every offensive lineman except for Kaysen that has played in games practiced today.
And then I know it's a different season, different teams, but for the guys who played in the Alabama game last year, coming so close, can they relate to the others about it's Alabama and they're really, really good, but we showed last year we could play with them and we can beat them here?
Yeah, I think our guys have that understanding or that belief anyway, based on, who we believe we are, whether it's Alabama or anybody in this league. We have that confidence to go play on Saturday. But, certainly there's a lot of guys that were there and a lot of guys that made plays in that game that are back. And, watching that tape of the game on all 3 phases, I mean, it's like every Saturday it's a handful of plays that you either make or you don't make. And we made some great plays in that game last season. And then there were some plays to be made on offense, defense, and special teams where we just didn't quite make it that could have been the difference in the game. But there's no question our guys have that belief and confidence. And I would hope they would understand, based on where we are right now and what they've seen through these first 7 games, that, every play matters. And in this league, it is every single week, whether it's Texas, Kentucky the other night, or Georgia, Auburn, or Georgia, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, whoever. I mean, there's just so many close games every single Saturday, and every play matters.
To follow up on your penalty statement, how do you look to make that a consistent thing going forward for the rest of the season?
Yeah, just continuing to emphasize it. I mean, we didn't emphasize it or talk about it any more or any less last week than what we had done the week before when we had 14 or whatever it was against LSU. So just stay consistent with how we're emphasizing it in practice, how we're emphasizing it during the week. And then, I believe it starts with just their frame of mind. Are they thinking too much about what to do? Are they thinking too much about what the defense is doing, and they lose focus on not moving when the team makes a move call or whatever it might be? So just helping to eliminate the clutter in their heads so they can be free and get lined up and go play football. And again, there's going to be, a pre-snap penalty. I mean, there was, I think just Alabama came to mind. The first play of the game last year, Alabama versus LSU in Baton Rouge. Alabama has a false start the very first play of the game, Alabama's offense. Well, they went on and scored whatever it was, 42 or something against LSU that night. So there's going to be pre-snap penalties, but we can't have whatever it was, 8 of them like I think we had against LSU. So just continue to emphasize it, and starts with, the frame of mind as they get lined up and get ready to play each and every play.
Shane, you mentioned on Saturday briefly that Vicari had broken his finger, and then he was able to go back out there and play. One, can you just take us through your perspective on how that whole situation kind of played out in practice? Like, are you thinking like, oh man, is he going to be able to play this weekend? Like, what's going through your head? And then how good is it to see him tough it out? And does that have an effect on the team in a positive way?
Yeah. Glad you asked. It was, it was Wednesday. We were catching punts before practice like we always do. I was over on the one field where we were working with some of our punt pressure guys on fundamental stuff. The returners were on the other field. Clint, the head trainer, came to me and told me that Vicari had dislocated his finger, and they had him in the training room and they couldn't get it back in, meaning they were trying to pop it back in so he could go back and practice. So dislocated, broke, whatever. They couldn't get it back in. And then he came back out to me. He's like, we still can't get it in. We're bringing in an outside doctor, like hand surgeon, to see if he can do it. But part of the reason we might not be able to get it back in is, not to bore y'all with details, but I guess in fingers there's some sort of little bone or something that's like a washer that got like bent and up in his fingers that was preventing it from getting popped back in. So they had to go in there and do a surgical procedure. So he went to the hospital that afternoon to get it done, thinking they were going to get it done immediately. And then I think, unfortunately, there were some trauma cases that came into the ER, so he had to wait. So I was texting him throughout the day, just checking on him, and he was like, I'm good, I'm just hungry. But he couldn't eat because he was getting ready to have surgery. And then you're sitting there thinking, you got to be freaking kidding me. Like, our punt returner 3 days before the Oklahoma game is in the hospital with a broke finger. So in my mind, I'm thinking there's no way he's going to be able to catch punts, much less play. And then he got done with the surgery, texted me he was done, he was good, and he's playing Saturday. Thursday, we kind of rested him to let that finger just heal from the procedure. And then Friday, I think he started out Friday afternoon catching just some Nerf balls out there on the practice field out here before we always go to the stadium for a walkthrough, but before all that, catching some Nerf balls just to get a feel for it. And then when the walkthrough was over in the stadium on Friday, we shot like in a jugs machine real balls that he had to catch, and he he did it. So you feel pretty good about it. You're like, okay. And then you guys see us in pregame warmups. He always catches the punt at the end of pregame. We punt, we cover, he catches it, we run into the locker room. And he told Jalen to catch it. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, Jalen needs to catch it. I don't want to drop it. I'm like, well, buddy, you're about to play in 30 minutes. So I'd rather get it out of our system now if we're gonna drop one. And then to go out there and do what he did, but not just catch punts, but to be able to play with the physicality he did, play DB, says a lot about him. But yes, absolutely, that's a rallying thing for this team. And it kind of goes back, I think I alluded to it in the press conference after the game. That's what gives, one of the many reasons it just gives me so much hope is the guys that fought to get back out there. You know, I mentioned Caleb Williams breaking his leg in practice, which is awful. But like 5 minutes before that, Monkel Goodwine got rolled up and had to get helped off the field. This is on Thursday. and you lose 2 defensive tackles within like 5 minutes, and you already got one suspended, and you're sitting there saying, like, who can play tackle for us on Saturday? And then for Kel to fight to get back out there, Brandon Cisse to fight to get back out there, Gabe, who had a upper body injury all week and weren't really sure he was going to be able to play, to fight to get back out there, and to see that with Vicari, that was, pretty awesome. And then guys that got banged up on Saturday that just refused to come out and laid it all on the line. So, that's what love coaching these guys, because it's important to them. But definitely what Vicari did was a rallying thing for a lot of guys.
I won't give you a hard time for forgetting to mention Shed on your offensive line.
Shed practice today.
Okay.
Yep, Shed practice.
And going back to Kaysen, and he's obviously had to battle back from previous injuries before. How is he dealing with this since he's, like I said, come back and played a lot, then back at this?
He's doing okay. I know he's frustrated. I mean, that's, one of the leaders on our offensive line and one of the guys that plays with the right mentality that you want on the offensive line, so hate it for him. He's frustrated, to dislocate his shoulder on the very first play of the Missouri game and jog off. I mean, that's not ideal for anybody. I think from Kaysen's standpoint, he just wants to get it fixed and be able to be healthy. He hasn't been able to do that, a lot during his time here. He, I met with him yesterday. I've had a lot of individual meetings with the guys the last few days, but all positive. But met with Kaysen yesterday, and he's frustrated, but in good spirits, and is just eager to, get well to where he can play and play the way that he wants to play.
Start with David, we'll end with David.
John's got a hand back there. John's been waiting patiently. I didn't mean to steal your thunder, but
Shane, it seems to be a surprise that the line has struggled this badly through this season. Was there, you look back, hindsight 2020, but is there anything that you guys maybe could have done different as a coaches have to say, hey, this may not be what we're looking at, and not be so surprised next time?
Good question. I felt good, coming into it. When you looked at our offensive line last season at this time, I knew we were losing our center and both guards, and we knew that we needed to replace those guys. And as I looked at it last year at this time, I knew we had Shed coming. I knew we had Marquis coming back. We had Tro. We had guys in the interior of the offensive line that we felt good about. And then when you bring back both your tackles, really feel good about it, and Tavy and Tree. So there's 4 offensive tackles. Tavy played the whole second half of the Alabama game last year, basically. So that's 4 tackles. And then you got some talented guys that you've recruited that I said, okay, it's time for them to now take the next step as players. But we need to go out in the portal and increase the depth on the interior of the offensive line. And we did that. We brought in guys like Boaz and Rodney and Nick and liked their tape, still do. I watched Nick Sharp's tape last year against when he was at Wake Forest, playing Clemson and Ole Miss, which y'all know they've got defensive linemen and really doing a nice job in those games. There were other offensive linemen that we tried to get in the portal that chose not to come. I can't make guys come here. And there were guys that we brought that are, 2 of them, 3 of them we brought in on visits that are starting at other SEC schools right now. And they came here on a visit, and for whatever reason, they chose not to come here. But felt good about that group coming into it because of who we returned and the guys we brought in. And would certainly, I'd be lying to you if I said I wish we had made more progress with them. There's no doubt about it. We haven't progressed fast enough, but and not to make excuses, it's been tough. We've started 3 different centers. We've had, a different offensive tackle because of injuries, and different guys have been banged up in there. But optimistic those guys can, going back to a successful season, can maximize their potential here over these last 5 regular season games and take the steps and be the players that we want them to be. All right.
Thank you. You mentioned just a minute ago that you've had several individual player meetings here recently, the last few days. More so than usual, or what's kind of brought that about, that those have been required or needed?
I would say more so than usual. It wasn't. It was I wouldn't say more so than usual. My door is always open, and I meet with guys regularly. So this isn't one of those like, oh my God, crisis, let's start having individual meetings. Some were just me bringing in some guys on offense and defense just to just check on them. And hey man, how you doing? And how can I help you? And having those conversations. One was a player a freshman actually, that wanted to meet with me, that came in my office and honestly got emotional to say, I want to be doing more to help the team. I hate losing, and we got the right people on this team. I want to be doing more to help us, which, I mean, I told him that's the best thing that happened to me yesterday, was seeing a guy like that come in that cares and wants to get it right. I mean, I'll be honest with you, a freshman texts you on 10 o'clock on Sunday night that he wants to meet with you the next day. You're like, oh, crap. He wants the red shirt, thinking about transferring. And he came in my office. I'm like, is this about, your 4 games? And he was like, heck no. And then he talked about that. So those are the meetings that I had. And it's just another testament to how much it hurts me that we are where we are, because I want these guys to have so much success. I want the 80+ thousand people that are in Williams-Brice Stadium every single Saturday to see a win from the Gamecocks. And I want all the people, like I said at the beginning, from the low country to the PD to the Midlands to the upstate, to have success and be able to walk into their line of work on Monday morning or school proud about what the Gamecocks did on Saturday. And as the head coach, I'm not getting that done, and I know I'm letting them down. But what gives me great hope to get it turned to where we want it, because we aren't far off, we're not, is players like that. And then everybody on our team. We got a bunch of really good young men on our team that I wish everybody could see how we practice, because it matters. I wish they could see how we walk through, because it matters. I wish they could see how we meet, because it matters. And now we got to take all that great stuff we're doing and do that great stuff on Saturdays. And that's just what we haven't been able to do consistently enough, and that's what's frustrating. Thanks, John. See you guys.